this process, I had a network with many different government officials and city officials within the community to help me with the financial aspect of things and the networking aspects of things and meeting the right people to help bring this all together, to place all the puzzle pieces together. So with me, I had the idea, and I went to Pastor Arnold, who had the connections with Skate-Town, because he had done many parties here with his church. And I've also reached to Mr. Tony Strickland for the financial aspect of it, the city, such as the police department, the health, the emergency department, and things of that nature. So reaching out to those helped me bring it together, because that was one of those things that I wouldn't be able to do have that much impact on this party without the help that they had. In the beginning, I was discussing with two other students from my high school with the task force, which consisted of Mayor Rausch, Pastor Arnold, Mr. Tank Strickland, and a few more people within the community. And we had discussions on the crime rates. We had discussions on students from the areas of Austin, East Fort, and the central, the inner city schools. And the biggest problem was the crime. And what the issue was that I realized was students of that age, of my age, have too much time on their hands, and to where they're able to get into bad situations. Yeah. Whenever they don't have anything to do, they go looking for things to do, which puts them in the wrong position.
Tell me a little bit, just what you've seen in terms of crime and the impact that it has on the community here in Knoxville in particular, when you think about violent crime, murder, and aggravated assault in the black community. What kind of impact have you seen?
I think that it's obvious that there's something wrong in America when young people are killing each other every single day. And I think it's not necessarily just centered around Knoxville, Tennessee, but Knoxville is a snapshot of what's taking place all over the country. Yeah. We look at Chicago and we see those numbers, but it's not just taking place in Chicago and Illinois and Indianapolis and all the big cities that we've been looking at, but it's happening right here in the city of Knoxville. And I think that one of the things that we really have to pour into is we have to think through pouring into our young people, because if we don't give them purpose and hope, they're just going to fall by the wayside. And so we've seen a lot of people get killed in the last couple of years with senseless gang violence and just all types of crime has taken place, and we're going to have to put our hands around it.
What are some of the challenges that you see?
You know, so we see it as kind of there's some different levels here that we're working with. You know, you have, of course, the first step is always prevention. So we look at what we can do for prevention, and prevention is clearly an education piece. Mm-hmm. And so we're working very closely with the schools and with the churches, and talking about how do we educate in terms of these youth. How do we educate them to know that they have different choices? Mm-hmm. And so prevention is that first step. Intervention is the next step. Is when people find themselves in these situations, is then intervening and trying to help them through the difficulty of what they've put themselves in. Mm-hmm. And then the last step, or the third step, not really last, but another piece to this, mm-hmm. Is the reintegration of those who have found themselves in these situations that have been adjudicated, and then when they get released back into our community, and how to help them not reoffend and become productive members again in our community. And so those are really kind of three different areas that we're focusing our efforts. So it's not something we're going to accomplish overnight.
I challenge pastors to challenge the men in their church to be surrogates for these children that don't have men in their lives. Yeah. And if it's just taking them to a baseball game, if it's just visiting them during lunch at Austin East, or if it's just teaching them to play golf, mm-hmm. I think it'll make a huge impact.
For the people of my generation, I would say we're next up. we are the future. So how we act in our society and how we continue to live our lives will be what the future consists of. So we have the chance to change it now, or we can wait and change it later. And for the adults, or the people who are the generation before me, I would say find someone you can relate to, or that can relate to you, or someone that you can just help, because any help, regardless of how small it is, can make a difference. I've had many mentors come through my life, but the best mentors that I've ever had were the ones I could relate to. Those were the ones I could talk to a lot more, and those were the ones who can get a lot more out of me because I was more comfortable with them. And in situations like that, whenever you have someone you can relate to, it's a lot easier to communicate with, and it's a lot easier for them to influence you.
Yeah.
So there are many people out here, adults who've been through struggles when they were my age, so they can relate to a lot of people who are going through struggles at this moment. It's just about them wanting and having the drive to help our generation.